Well, how are you guys doing tonight? So, tonight I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than usual. I'm going to be doing a tour, like a book tour of my manga and my regular bookshelf as well. Just what we got going on here. So I wonder if you can hear the floor creaking when I walk across it from this microphone. Before I get started, I'm gonna do the whole usual thing of leave me a like and a comment and subscribe to my channel and all that crap. So yeah. Oh yeah, this is also my wall of like paintings and crap that I have. I don't know, what would you call that? Display wall? I don't really know. So yeah, let's get started. Also, I hope the video is not shaky. I can feel my arm shaking right now from holding the camera. Not that it's really that big a camera, but can you see it? I don't know, I spent the whole day like cleaning my room and stuff, so I guess my arm's tired. I don't really know why though. Oh yeah, there's the fans I have too. I don't know if I included that. But yeah, I'm gonna start off at the top of the shelf. So I have this lantern thingy that I got from the Renaissance Fair. It's kind of like a Moroccan style lantern, I guess, but not really. I like those kinds of things. This is a model, like Japanese house that my boyfriend, well, we kind of built it together, but I'm gonna say that he did most of the work. So yeah, it's pretty nice. It's actually a little damaged because I was hanging that painting print thingy and it fell off the wall and it landed on the house, so the roof kind of got unglued, but you know. So this is the first manga series that I have, Golden Kamuy. That's there was like a show, I guess, in Japan, an exhibit, yeah, that's what they call it, like an exhibition for it, and that's the book from it. It's all in Japanese, of course, so I can't really read it, but I just bought it because it was cool. I got it on eBay. So yeah, this is Golden Kamuy. This is the fan book, art book thingy. It has all the characters on it. Literally every single character. Also more on the back, of course, but on this shelf I have a bunch of mushrooms. I'm gonna switch hands, hold on. My microphone's on a chopstick. Gets the job done. Yeah, so Golden Kamuy it's basically like a treasure hunt survival type of manga. It takes place in the early 1900s, and the main character is Sugimoto, and then this girl, her name is Ashiriba. She's an Ainu. It heavily focuses on the Ainu, which are the indigenous people of Japan, and this guy is Shiraishi. Basically the story is that there's this giant stash of gold that the Ainu mined to fight the Japanese, because, you know, the Japanese were doing the same thing that the US did, basically, to our natives. And the Ainu wanted to fight back, and so there's a lot of gold in Hokkaido, which is where it takes place, which is like the northernmost part of Japan. It's like the island that's on top of, like the thing you usually think of as Japan, that island. It's like a little circle above it. And yeah, the landscape there is very like rugged and like forested, and it gets very cold there. So at the time of the early 1900s, it wasn't super developed. It was a little developed. focus of the anime is like surviving in the woods, because that's what they do. That's what the Ainu do. That's their whole life. That's their whole lifestyle, is surviving in the woods. Like, obviously they have a village and shit, but they live off the woods, hunting and gathering and all that kind of stuff. And since Sugimoto doesn't have a lot of money, he ends up having to do that too, because he can't afford a hotel, you know? So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite series. One of my favorite manga series. I actually have a tattoo for it. Here, I'll show you. This isn't a very good showing of the tattoo, because, yeah, but, I have a tattoo tour video, the last one before this one, that if you're interested in seeing it better, you can check that out. I'll probably put one of those, like, little pop-up-y things over there. And I also have these little plant guys, because they're cute. But, again, a lot of Golden Kamuy has to do with, like, being in the woods and stuff, and, you know, plants are in the woods. So, yeah, so the next series I have two on here, clearly, is Gintama, which is also a favorite, and then this one, Invaded, which I also have a tattoo for. This guy's from Invaded. This came with the DVD set, this. So, I'm not really into figures, but since that came with the set, I was like, I might as well put it up. Should I give a summary of each series or not? I wonder. Gintama, for one thing, is really hard to describe, I feel like. It's sort of like... Well, I don't know, does it have a summary on it? Okay, here, I'll read the summary. The samurai didn't stand a chance. First, the aliens invaded Japan. Next, they took all the jobs, and then they confiscated everyone's swords. So what does a hot-headed former samurai like Sakataki Gintoki do to make ends meet? Take any job that comes his way, even if it means losing his dignity. Yeah, it's sort of like, it takes place during, like, the end of the Edo period. I think it's the Edo period anyway. It's the time when Tokyo was originally called Edo. And so, yeah, a lot of the figures in it are historical figures. I don't know about Gintoki, who's the main character, but him and this guy are both based off of historical characters, members of the Shinsengumi. Ugh, that's the second time that's fallen. Yeah, and the Shinsengumi is real life. It was like, I guess the Emperor's police force, or something like that, something similar to that. But this guy, Hichikata Toshizo, or his name is actually Toshiro in the anime, but Toshizo in real life, he's also in Golden Kamuy, this guy. Except the version of him in Golden Kamuy is more, well, I want to say more realistic, but this version of him could never have existed, this version, because he died young. The historical figure, I mean. So yeah, it's like 1800s Japan, but if there were aliens, and if they had the same technology as we do now because of the aliens, I guess. It's a comedy series, but I mostly watched the anime more than read the manga, but I do want to read the manga. Also, the manga isn't fully translated into English. They got up to like 20-some volumes, I think, and then they just decided to stop publishing it for whatever reason. I guess it wasn't popular enough. But the thing with Gintama is that there's a lot of like Japanese humor in it, which isn't really surprising, but they make like a huge amount of references to like Japanese, I guess you could say meme culture, except it was before memes. A lot of the jokes you don't really understand unless you have a deep knowledge of Japanese culture. It's still funny though. And then Invaded, I also have a tattoo for that one. I'm not gonna show it, just look at that video, my tattoo tour video if you want to see it. But that one is about, it's like, it takes place in the modern time, like right now. Actually, it takes place in 2019 or 2018, I think. And it's like a crime investigation one, like a murder mystery type one, where the police are trying to find serial killers, except they're using this, like, machine that basically when a killer kills, they leave behind these things called, like cognition particles or something. And there's like a machine that can use those particles to construct a world that's made out of like the killer's drive to kill. Like the killer's id. Like if you're familiar with Freud and the whole id, ego, superego thing, it's that id. And, you know, a person goes into it. Specifically, this guy. He goes into that world to investigate. Because like in victims are there, the killer's there. Usually the locations that they killed at are there. And but it's like a dreamscape, so like it's kind of surreal. And their goal is to find the killer using that. But of course, not just any regular person can go in there. I really like that anime too. It was actually an original anime, so it doesn't come from a manga, but the manga is like a sequel to the anime. Or you could really read it as a standalone, but it takes place after the anime, so this is just a version of it in Japanese. There's only 3 volumes. I've always been really hoping that it would get a second season, but it came out in 2019, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, I think, and it was pretty underrated, so I don't think that's gonna happen. Also, Kenshiro Tsuda voices this guy, and, you know, he's the main character. So I feel like usually Kenshiro Tsuda doesn't do main characters. Like, you know, he does Nanami in Jujutsu Kaisen, and he does, I guess overall in My Hero, who's a villain, of course. And, oh, he voices Ogata, this guy, in Golden Kamuy as well. Also not exactly a main character. He is a main character, but he's also kind of not, so yeah, that's Invaded is the show that made me really love Kenshiro Tsuda as a voice actor. So next we have Dora Doro. And this one is a completed series. Oh yeah, Golden Kamuy is complete. I'm not sure if Gintama is complete or not, but like I said, it didn't get fully translated into English anyway, so yeah. Oh, also these little shelves that I have the books on, I got from when I was in Japan from Daiso. I had heard about them. They don't sell them in the Daisos in the US. So when I was in Japan, I actually looked for them in South Korea too, because I went to South Korea and also to Japan sort of at the same time a couple of years ago. I didn't find them in South Korea though, they were only in Japan, so I bought an ass ton of them. But yeah, so next is Dora Doro. This one is completed. Did I say that already? It's 23 volumes completely. And I do have my manga like double stacked on these shelves. Like you can see there's a layer of books behind the front row in Golden Kamuy. But this one, just the one stack of books and the side ones perfectly take up the cube. So I've debated about like putting another series on there too. But I kind of want the series to like go together. And some of them don't, like Undead Unluck and Spy Family don't really go together, like vibes-wise. But I haven't figured out which one I'm gonna do yet. Or, you know, I don't think I need to at the moment, but I'm sure I will eventually. So anyway, Dora Doro takes place in, I guess, Japan, but also like an alternate universe. But the Japan that it takes place in is like, kind of like post-apocalyptic, like not real Japan, not like modern day Japan. Well, that makes it sound like it's historical, but the thing is they don't really say, as far as I know anyway, it's never really said when this takes place. But it is like Japan. It's not like a world that's similar to Japan, it's just Japan. But Japan is called the Whole, and basically, sorcerers come from the alternate world that they live in. Like, they travel across the dimensions to get to the Whole, and they use the human beings there for, like, magic practice. So they just, like, cast random spells on them and then leave them. And so the humans there are suffering because they're being experimented on by these assholes. I'm gonna switch hands again. And so the main characters are Nikaido and Kaiman. And Kaiman is a guy who lost his memory, who has the lower body of a human being and the head of a Kaiman, like the lizard alligator type of thing. Let's see. Well, I don't know if you'll really be able to see it on here. This is the last volume. But yeah, these are the 2 main characters, and Kaiman is the guy. He wears a mask, but he has the head of a lizard. And so he basically just woke up one day in and out inside a body bag, I think, with the head of a lizard and no memory about who he is or where he came from or what he was doing. And so the chick Nikaido, she tries to help him figure out which sorcerer cast a spell on him, because that's the only way to undo it, and the man just wants his head back. And he has a guy that lives inside his mouth, and so whenever he finds a sorcerer, he like eats their head, like definitely gritty, and the art style is pretty, I guess I would say dark. But yeah, I got into it from the anime, and then I started reading the manga. I haven't finished it yet. The thing about the manga is there are a lot of characters, and at the time that I started reading it, which was quite a few years ago, maybe like 2019 or something, I wasn't that good at like Japanese names. Like I would kind of get confused about them, I guess. And so I would be confused about which character was which. And some of them it's kind of obvious. Like there's a guy named Dokuga, who he isn't in the anime yet, so it's not really a spoiler or anything. And he has like a power that's related to poison, and it makes it easy to remember because Doku means poison. So it's in his name. And there's another guy named Ushi Shimada, who is really big, and he has Ushi in his name, which means like bull. There's actually a guy in Golden Kamuy who has Ushi in his name too, Ushiyama. His name literally means bull mountain. It's because he's very big and strong. So, I actually want to finish this one. Basically, there's only one season of the anime because it's made by MAPPA, and this was like right before MAPPA got Attack on Titan. So they kind of put the other stuff on hold, you know, like Attack on Titan was a really big deal, and I think Dora wasn't super popular. I don't think it was unpopular, but it wasn't like, it didn't blow up, so it's been a couple years since the first season came out, but it has been confirmed for a second. Oh yeah, I got this fish thingy, in San Francisco. It's like one of those fish kites, except a mini one. And I got this dog thing when I was in Tokyo. I got it in Asakusa. I think it says Asakusa Kaminarimon or something on it. Kaminarimon is if you've ever seen Asakusa, it's that big like shopping street that leads up to a temple. And Kaminarimon is the gate at the very beginning. It means like lightning gate or thunder gate. So the next two series that I have, because I have two on the shelf now, are Undead Unluck, which is the big one there, and of course Spy Family. And this is a copy of Shonen Jump, straight from Japan. I bought that, I don't know, because I wanted it. There wasn't really a reason. Let's flip through it a little. This is Mashal. I actually like that one too. I've watched it. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I hope there's no spoilers. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what that is. Sorry for being uncultured. There's Jujutsu Kaisen in here too. It's, I won't say what it is. This is Undead Unluck, the manga that's on the cover. That's spoilers technically because that's, not in the anime. I have a mushroom bookmark thingy. Yeah, so all that's Undead Unluck, and then I have Spy Family as well. I think the Spy Family is under the Undead Unluck that's in the back because I have more volumes of Spy Family than just that. I think I have up to 11. I like Spy Family a lot, but I've kind of lost interest in it a little bit because, like in the manga, just like with others, I started out watching the anime and then liked it a lot, so I went to the manga. But or he just has a lot of influence over the party that wants there to be war. But he needs to get that info. And so he gets there, and he gets a kid out of an orphanage, which is that girl with the pink hair that I just showed you, Anya. And it turns out that she can read minds. And she really likes spy TV shows, like a cartoon that's about a spy, so she really wants to be involved in being the kid of a spy. And then he also needs to get a wife, and so he ends up getting a wife in basically this random woman that he happens to encounter, and that's her. And it seems like she's a normal woman, but she's actually an assassin. So, all of them are basically existing, hiding their secret from each other, and trying to pretend that they're a normal family. So it's pretty interesting. I do like it a lot. I put the penguin there, that penguin plant, because there's an episode where they go to the aquarium, and the dad gets the girl, a penguin stuffed animal. Yeah, so Undead Unluck is... I like the series a lot. Basically, it's about these two, and the girl, like, basically, it takes place in the regular world, but the girl, there's people who have these powers, and they're called, like, negators, and they negate, like, a rule of the universe. Like, she's unluck, and so basically, if anyone touches her, she gives them unluck, like, bad luck, basically, and it could be as bad as them dying immediately, or as bad as them getting pooped on by a bird. It depends on, like, what part of her body they touch, like, how much it means to her, the touch that they get, and how well she knows the person, like, how much she loves them. So if it's, like, a random person she doesn't know who, like, brushes her finger or something, they'll probably just get pooped on by a bird. But if it's someone she really cares about and she kisses them on the cheek, they're gonna die. Gruesomely. And she can't control it, it's involuntary. And then there's Undead, which is that guy with the glass shard in his head, and his power's pretty straightforward. He just can't die, like literally cannot die, and he wants to die because he's tired of being alive. And basically she is about to like commit toaster bath, except she's really about to jump in front of a train, and he happens to come across her, and people are trying to like talk her down, and she's like, don't come near me, if you touch me you'll get a disease that'll kill you. And so he's like, oh, I've never tried that kind of death before. So he like grabs her, and of course the bridge they're standing on breaks under him, and he gets hit by the train, but he doesn't die because he can't die. And so he kind of like kidnaps her a little bit because he wants to use her to let him die, and she's kind of like, well, I don't have anything else going on, so I might as well play along with this. And a lot of other stuff happens, but yeah, that's kind of the story. So, to be honest, I think a lot of people were put off of it because there's some, like, gropey shit. Because, like I said, her power is based on touch, and I don't want to sound like I'm defending this necessarily, but, like, basically, like I said, whatever part of her body that gets touched, and how much that means to her personally, has an effect on, like, how bad the unluck that the person touching her gets is. So it makes sense that if she gets, like, her boob touched or something, it's gonna lead to death more than, like, any other part of her body. And he wants to die, so... But honestly, that kind of thing usually puts me off of shows. But it really doesn't last past, like, the 4th or 5th episode all that much. So, and, like, I'm gonna say it's not really against her will, but, like, in the beginning it is. But then later on, it's, like, necessary, because she can't control her power. Like, she physically cannot manipulate her own power. Like, her power relies on other people touching her. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, it's justified. And, like, they don't really, I don't know, I'm not gonna say, like, it's fine, but they don't really, like, over-sexualize it, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of matter-of-fact boob grabbing, I don't know. But yeah, it ends up not really lasting a super long time in the show. So, yeah, that's the saving grace, I guess. And it helps that that guy, the undead guy, his name's Andy, because it sounds like undead, the English word pronounced with a Japanese accent. He's a pretty nice guy, like, overall. really nice to her. So that kind of makes it a little bit better too. Like, he's not grabbing her for sexual gratification, he's grabbing her because he wants to die. I don't know, it's kind of weird. So anyway, speaking of shows that involve sexual harassment, I have Jujutsu Kaisen and Dandadan. And yeah, I got my little Gojo figure. I'm definitely a Gojo girl. I actually have a tattoo of Gojo that I just got, and I will show this one because it's not in my tattoo tour video because I hadn't gotten it yet. Yeah, I just got that back in the beginning of May in San Francisco. I don't know, should I keep giving summaries about what the mangas are about? I feel like if anyone knows these mangas, especially like Jujutsu Kaisen, which is extremely popular, it's kind of redundant, but yeah, I guess if you don't know this manga, it's kind of necessary, so I guess I'll keep doing it. So Jujutsu Kaisen takes place in the regular world, and it's about, there's like cursed spirits, which are physical manifestations of negative emotions in the world, and they, attack people. Jujutsu sorcerers fight them, they can see them, and they use the cursed energy to fight them. And basically the main character, Yuji, he doesn't know anything about Jujutsu at all, but he ends up getting involved in it. And yeah, he ends up going to a school that teaches Jujutsu because he's gonna get executed if he doesn't. And yeah, Gojo, my man there, is one of the teachers. He's the strongest. And Dandadan, it's about yokai. I almost said ghosts. It's about yokai and aliens. And like yokai it's Japanese mythology of like various types of monsters and stuff like that. And Dandadan's a pretty recent one. I mean, I guess the manga's been around for a while, a good little while, but the anime, the first season just came out, and I think the second season's about to come out. Well, it just came out like a year ago, but it kind of blew up. And it's about a girl who believes in yokai but not aliens, and a boy who believes in aliens but not yokai, and they try to convince each other. The guy on the left there is the boy. They try to convince each other that the other one exists, and they find out basically at the same time that they both exist. And the boy ends up getting cursed by a yokai, and the girl ends up discovering like this spiritual power that she has. And yeah, the most famous element of Dandadan is that the guy loses his balls, which is 100% not code for anything. He literally loses them. And so yeah, basically it's about him trying to get his balls back. I haven't read all of it. I've read a good, like, I think I'm in the hundreds of chapters. I think there's like 200 or maybe almost 300 now. So I kind of stopped reading it at one point or another. Not for any particular reason, but just because, I don't know, I'm sure I'll finish it. Or I'll get back up to date with it eventually. But, yeah, my attention span for manga is kind of short. Like, Undead Unluck just ended recently, and I read, like, the vast majority of it. Like, if there's 30 volumes, then I read up to 24. But I just didn't get back into reading it whenever I stopped, for whatever reason. So, honestly, the same is true about Jujutsu Kaisen as well. But the thing with Jujutsu Kaisen is that it was, like, really, really big, and, like, it still is. But when the manga just ended, like, I guess a year ago, maybe. And the whole final fight, like, I couldn't go anywhere on Instagram without seeing spoilers. So I basically read what happened in the final fight against my will through spoilers on Instagram. So it's kind of like that thing of where you already know what's gonna happen, so, like, is there any point in reading it? But, like, I want to find out, like, the stuff that wasn't on Instagram, like, the details and everything. So, before I got my tattoo, I was like, oh, I should finish it so I can know that, like, all the panels of Gojo, like, I've seen them all. So there isn't, like, what if I get a tattoo of this one panel, but then in the future there's, like, a really, really good panel that I just, like, happen to not see, and, like, I could've gotten that one tattooed instead. And I was kinda gonna do that, but then, like, I got really frustrated because the translation of the manga is really bad. Like, were saying that that the guy who translated it just used Google Translate. Like, Gojo's power, there are no spoilers in this, by the way, Gojo's power is infinity, one of them anyway, and it's translated instead as inviolability, like, unviolatableness. And, like, that's technically true, I guess, because he can't be touched, but, and I mean touched isn't, like, physically touched at all, not, like, violated touched, but, it's never called that. Like, in the earlier parts of the manga, it's just called his infinity. Like, he used his infinity, like, the hit didn't land because of his infinity, and then they start saying inviolability, or whatever, and also, like, one of his powers is blue, and it's literally just called blue, but in the translation they're calling it azure, or like azure glow, like, fuck off with that, it's blue. So I don't know, so I got really frustrated about that, because the translation got so awkward, like, to the point where I don't even know what they're trying to say half the time, and it's like an important thing that they're talking about. It's not like something that you could just glaze over if it doesn't make sense. It's like, you know, something emotional, or it's like a character's opinion about something, like it's something important. So I got really fucking pissed off about that. But like, I don't know, I know some Japanese, but I don't know enough Japanese that I could go and read it and understand it. So, yeah. But anyway, so next is Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon, and Free Ren, and these two I feel like really go together. They both take place in like a vaguely medieval world where like magic exists, and there's like dwarves and elves and all that kind of stuff. And Delicious in Dungeon involves exploring one dungeon really, but it involves exploring a dungeon, and it's sort of slice of life-ish, because like it involves them eating. Like, the whole premise is that this party of people, adventurers, they're in a dungeon, and the main guy, which is him, has like a fantasy about like eating the monsters that are in there. I guess partially for practicality, because it's hard and it's expensive to carry around a bunch of food, and the dungeon is like isolated, so it'd be really hard to leave to get more food, because you'd have to climb all the way back out and then all the way back down again, and that's dangerous. But also he just like really, really, really loves monsters, like everything about them, to the point of wanting to eat them, I guess. I know that makes it sound really weird, but the series is finished, and I read all of it, and I really liked it. I actually do have a tattoo for it as well. It's in my tattoo door video. I have the mushroom bookmarks because there's walking mushrooms, which is one of the monsters that are in there. They're just mushrooms with legs. And also I have this little ram sheep thing made of bread, because I got it from a blind box. But there is, it reminded me of like a monster that's in the series, which is called like a Parametz, I think. And it's a sheep, but it's a fruit in the shape of an animal. I'm pretty sure it's not made out of meat, but that just reminded me of it. So I also have this pancake manta ray, and of course some mushrooms. I just got this Daydream Hour. That's part of the series of Dungeon Meshi. It's like just sort of doodles by the author, and a lot of it is like, most of it, the majority of it has to do with Dungeon Meshi, but some of it's just kind of random, but it's nice. It's just like an art book, basically. And then Free Ren is the same kind of world, but it's about, it's called Beyond Journey's End, because it's about, the group of heroes that killed the Demon King, and that takes place before the story. And so, Free Ren is an elf, and she's already lived for like 1,000 years, and she'll probably live for a couple thousand more. Like, the elves are basically immortal in this. And so she had to deal with the death. This is all first episode stuff, by the way, so no spoilers. But she had to deal with the death of the hero, Himmel. And they journeyed together for like 10 years, but she really feels like she didn't know him at all. Because she feels like there's time for everything. But, you know, humans don't have time like that. So she kind of deals with the sense of grief that comes with not using the time that you had to do what you should have, you know, and not being able to get that time back. And she travels with a girl who's a mage who was adopted by the one guy in their group, and she, you know, teaches her magic. And then there's a guy who is trained supposedly talk to the dead, because Frieren wants to talk to Himmel one last time. The manga's not finished. Right now it's on hiatus, and it has been for a little while, and it might still be for a little while. But there's enough manga that they could make a full second season, at least, and then they'll be mostly caught up. Frieren was really popular as well. It's definitely like a slower and kind of melancholy anime, but I really liked it. The next one is Hell's Paradise, and also The Witch and the Beast. The art is so pretty in The Witch and the Beast. The manga author I can tell they really like fashion and also architecture, because all the characters' outfits are really detailed, and the architecture is always really well drawn. Yeah, but basically, yeah, so The Witch and the Beast takes place in sort of like a steampunk type of world. They basically have modern technology, but it's all sort of magic based. It's basically about that guy and that girl, and the girl is cursed by, she has like a witch's curse. And in the series, witches are sort of like, they're like another species, but they're extremely powerful with magic, obviously. And if you get cursed by a witch, basically the only thing you can do is either get cured by the kiss of your beloved, true love's kiss, you know, or convince the witch to take the curse off. And so that's basically what their mission is. Like, the guy works for this agency that deals with like magic stuff. Like, basically, I guess sort of like a Magical Odd Jobs, but they deal with a lot of witches too, and dealing with a witch is like dealing with a serial killer practically. Like, I don't know, someone really crazy and really strong, and if you have to deal with them, you might be in trouble. I just watched the anime recently, and I really liked it, and so I bought all the manga. There's only 10 volumes, though, and 58 chapters, and basically it's been on hiatus for like almost 3 years. So, you know, that's an L for me. Also, the last chapter of it is like in the middle of a fight, and like a really bad thing's about to happen. So it's like a huge cliffhanger. And I don't know if it's going to be continued. But yeah, I do like that series a lot. I hope it gets continued. Hell's Paradise isn't really similar in any way, honestly. Of course, the main characters are a girl and a dude. The premise of that one is, I think it takes place in like 1600s Japan or 1700s Japan, and there's this like island that it's basically like the Japanese version of Ponce de Leon and the Fountain of Youth. My reference for that basically is Pirates of the Caribbean, by the way. So, but it's supposed to be like an elixir of eternal youth that exists on this weird island. But anyone who goes to the island, they come back dead, but also turned into flowers. And so the shogun really wants to be immortal forever, because I mean, what political leader doesn't want that, right? And so he decides that he's going to send like a group of criminals to the island, because for one thing they're disposable, but for another thing, you know, they're killers or like assassins or ninja, so they have a better skill set than the people that the emperor might normally have access to. And if he also sends them with, each one of them has an executioner in case they try to escape. And so the premise is that if you manage to make it to the island and back and get the elixir of life for the shogun, then he'll pardon whatever criminal. They're all criminals who would be executed otherwise. So he'll pardon you. And so the main character is a guy who's like a super, super skilled ninja, and he wants to die, but like he can't, because whenever they try to execute him, he like instinctively fights it off. And so the executioner is a chick, which, you know, it's 1600s Japan, so they're all like, women can't do anything but be married and have kids. And, you know, she's out there trying to be an executioner, because she's a member of a family of executioners. And so she picks him to go to the island. So then I have 3 more. There's To Your Eternity, Apothecary Diaries, and ReZero. And Apothecary Diaries and ReZero only really go together because they're both light novels. Which, if you're not familiar with light novels, it's just a regular book. I don't really know what the light part is in light novel, honestly. So it's not pictures, it's just words. But this one on display, that one's the manga adaptation. or maybe even before medieval, because a lot of it is like, small villages. They do have cities though. And it follows this, like, basically God or whatever creates like this consciousness, and the consciousness has to learn how to be a being. Like, at first it's a rock, and then it becomes like a plant, and then it becomes a wolf, and then it becomes a human being, and it has to learn everything that it takes to be a human being, basically. Like, it has to learn how to go to the bathroom, how to eat, how to avoid being killed, how to talk like a human and not just say words. So, and then it has to basically learn, I think ultimately the goal of that god is to design its replacement or something. I haven't gotten super far past the anime, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's really sad. So yeah, that series is really good. I watched the anime, haven't read the manga yet. I only have the first 4 volumes, and I think the anime goes up to maybe like, I don't know, this might be a wild guess, but maybe like the 10th volume or something. Maybe not quite that far, but it goes a pretty good amount farther. So then there's ReZero under there, which is pretty popular. It's an isekai one, which if you're not familiar, isekai is like when a Japanese person gets teleported to like it doesn't have to be a Japanese person, but obviously it usually is. They get teleported to like a different world, usually like a medieval one where magic exists, usually by like the goddess of that world, because they're needed to fight the demon lord or whatever, because they're ultra special because they're Japanese. But in this case, the main guy he's like a shut-in, basically, like a high school student, and like a hikikomori, which is like a person who never leaves their room, and they just like read manga and play video games and stuff. But he gets teleported to another world by a witch, and instead of usually in isekai, the main character is given like this huge, like overwhelming power that makes them like stronger than everyone else in the whole world, so everything's kind of easy for them. But the only power that he gets, the main character, is the ability to go back in time when he dies. So yeah, it's a pretty brutal story, and when the main character dies, it's usually not pretty. And so yeah, he gets killed and goes back in time and basically has to redo everything, but in such a way, not everything, because he'll get sent back to certain points, like, once a certain thing happens or whatever, he can't go back past that point, for better or worse. Usually it's usually worse, because the story isn't a very nice story. But yeah, so basically with the strength of a regular human being that didn't even work out all that much, has no fighting abilities, he has to somehow like save the world, kinda. Not necessarily save the world, but to be honest, like, I've watched most of the anime, and I'm not exactly sure what the plot is. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening, but I'm not sure what exactly, like, the plot is. Like, there hasn't been a lot of plot advancement. A lot of stuff has happened, but, like, as far as, like, what the actual stated goals of the characters are, not a lot has happened to advance them for that. But it's really good. I do want to read the light novels, but apparently the light novels are even more brutal than the anime, so yes. Then finally, for this shelf, we have the Apothecary Diaries, which I read all the light novels of. They're not all in print yet. I read them on the Kindle. Right now I'm reading the one that's coming out, so I'm on the 15th volume, I think. And it gets published chapter by chapter, so I'm reading each chapter one a week. And it takes place in like a fictionalized version of a certain dynasty of China. To me, it seems like it's probably like the 1600s, or maybe the 1700s, because at one point they reference a story that seems that it might be Romeo and Juliet, and it's like, oh, this really popular story just got translated. I might be wrong about that though, but, and of course I could just look up what the era is, but I haven't yet. And so it's about that girl Mao Mao, and she gets kidnapped and sold into the Rear Palace, which is like where the emperor keeps all his ladies at to try and have a lot of babies, but she's just a servant. And so like before she got kidnapped, she was an apothecary, and so she tries to just sort of like keep her head down and quietly make it through the 2-year term of service that she's trapped in, basically. But she kind of can't, and there comes up a issue, and she solves it. And she gets found out by the main guy, Jinshi, who is like a eunuch. And yeah, they end up getting caught up in a lot of stuff together. There's a lot of medical mystery and like political intrigue involved in that. I do like the series, but honestly, the thing that happens at the end of Volume 5 there, which I won't say because it's a spoiler, and because it's not even going to be in this season of the anime, it'll probably be next season, something really crazy happens, and it made me kind of not want to read it anymore, but I persevered, and I can't say that I regret it. But yeah, it was a little iffy there for a while. So, this is my TV stand shelf. See my TV's on it. I have all these Starbucks mugs as well. This one's from South Korea, this one's from Japan, obviously, and the rest of them are various states in the US. Also, they're from, it's called, like, Nier, and it's about androids. There's an anime, but it's based off of a video game, and, my boyfriend played the video game, but I can't play video games, and I liked it. I liked the game and the anime a lot, so since I couldn't buy the manga, I just bought a couple figures instead. So yeah, right here we have Noragami, and then two others. And Noragami is basically about Japanese gods that like exist in the world currently. And the one god, oh, I can't remember his name now. What is his name? Well, the one god, the main character, gets involved with the other main character, who's just a regular girl, because, you know, I can't really remember why, honestly. Something happens to her that leads to her soul leaving her body a lot, and he's supposed to fix it for her, but like he kind of doesn't. So she ends up just like hanging out with him, and sort of going back and forth between like being in her body and not being in her body. But it follows like the gods of Japanese mythology, so I guess it's sort of a mixture of Shinto. Actually, I'm not sure if there's any Buddhists or not. Like the Japanese go with like Shintoism and Buddhism, but I think most of the gods are Shinto ones. I'm not positive though. To be honest, when I was reading it the first time around, it was pretty confusing because, you know, all the names of the different gods, like I have no point of reference for that. Like no understanding of the mythology, like I do with like Greek gods or whatever. But I feel like if I reread it now, it would be easier because I feel like I'm just better at remembering Japanese names now. So yeah, I like the series a lot. There's an anime, but it never got finished. So then the next one is Inuyashiki, which is about, like, this old guy whose family doesn't love him, and he gets diagnosed with cancer, and he's like, well, I'm just gonna die. And then him and this other guy get accidentally, like, killed by these aliens. And the aliens are like, oh, we gotta fix them. We're gonna put them in new bodies, but we only have, like, the combat models, like the ones that are literally, like, a planet-destroying weapon. So we're just gonna put these two random human beings into these bodies without educating them in any way about them. Because we're in a rush, but we feel bad that we killed them. So the old guy and this other kid wake up with these bodies, and the kid is fucking crazy as shit, and he just goes around murdering people. And the old guy, you know, wants to stop him once he finds out. So, it's by the author of Gantz, if you're familiar with that series. I honestly watched some of Gantz and didn't really like it, but I liked Inuyashiki. And then there's an anime, and I'm pretty sure the full series, so it's completed, and I did watch the whole thing, and I liked it, so I decided to buy the manga, but I haven't finished getting them. So the one on top is Gangsta, and it takes place in this, like, sort of alternate universe, I guess, but it's like a regular world. It seems like it's in Italy, and it follows, the main character is deaf, and then there's a girl who they rescued from being a prostitute. And then the other main guy is like a former rich kid who left his family. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I watched the anime, but the studio that was making it actually went bankrupt or something, so needless to say there won't be another season. And a lot of the manga that I have, I plan on, you know, buying the full series and reading all of it, but it's kind of a work in progress. So the next one I have is Attack on Titan. I got the Colossal Editions, as you can see. I own 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7, but 6 and 7 are behind it back there. You can guess Alucard is like his name when he's in servitude to people, not the name of his son. But it's basically about Dracula. But Van Helsing's family enslaved him, and they use him to fight other vampires. And he's just like, yeah, sure. I don't have anything better to do. So yeah, the series is pretty good. Basically, he's out fighting a vampire, and this vampire takes a human girl hostage, and uses her as a human shield, basically. And Alucard ends up turning her into a vampire, I guess, because he doesn't want her to die, or he thinks it would be a waste or whatever, because he ends up just killing her. Like, he doesn't negotiate with terrorists. That kind of attitude. So he ends up killing her and turning her into a vampire. And then she joins the organization, Helsing's organization, and fights other vampires too. And yeah, that series is finished. It's only the 3 volumes. This is like a fan book. I read all of them, and I do like it a lot. There's 2 anime. There's Helsing and then Helsing Ultimate. And Ultimate follows the manga better. And Helsing, the regular one, just like adds random shit in that didn't happen. So, I personally hate when stuff is added in that doesn't happen in the manga. Okay, next is JoJo. And that one's also really hard to explain. I have all the volumes basically up until, I guess, the middle of part 5. And this one is part 6, but it's in Japanese. At one time I was like super obsessed with JoJo, and then I kind of like stopped liking it as much. I do still like it a lot though. But so all the JoJo volumes are kind of back there. They originally, they took up the bottom 2 cubes of that shelf that I was just showing. But I wanted to free up more space, so I did this with them. And so yeah, the last one on this shelf is Summertime Rendering. I'm 1 volume short of the full series. And this one is sort of like ReZero, except it takes place in Japan. But the guy has the same ability. Well, it's not even an ability, it's more like something's just happening to him. Like, basically the plot is that his childhood friend died under suspicious circumstances, and he lives on like an island, like an isolated island in Japan. So he goes home for the funeral, and like a bunch of weird shit starts happening, and he gets killed, and then wakes up back on the ferry, basically. And so he ends up teaming up with this lady who's investigating the weird shit, to also investigate the weird shit. But every time he gets killed, he starts back over again. But he gets brought back progressively farther into the events. So he basically gets less and less time to figure shit out. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So then over here I have Fire Force Kaiju number 8 and Inuyasha. I know I said something about Fire Force when I was talking about Undead Unluck, with like the unnecessary like nudity and shit, which Fire Force does have, but I do still like it anyway. I like the premise, and I kind of just roll my eyes and move on past the needless nudity. But Fire Force is it takes place in Japan, but it's like a post-apocalyptic Japan, where people have like pyrokinetic abilities, like, flame telepathy. And there are these things called like infernals that are like these flame monsters, and they come about basically a random person might just spontaneously combust at any point and become one of those. And so there's a special like firefighting force that deals with them specifically, and is comprised mostly of people who have pyrokinetic abilities, and that's what Fire Force is about. And yeah, I do like the series a lot. It's very interesting, like the world building and stuff. But I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites necessarily. I mean, I like it enough to have spent a bunch of money on all the volumes, but yeah, the 3rd season of it, I think it's the 3rd anyway, is airing right now. So then there's Kaiju number 8, which I like a lot, but I also kind of don't like, because they rely on the power of friendship too much. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. That one is similar because it's in Japan, but if they were menaced by these giant monsters called kaiju that just sort of randomly pop up, and there's a force that fights against them, and they use these like special suits that are made out of kaiju to give them superhuman powers. And the main character is this like 30-year-old guy disappointed about that because the story is too, like, linear. Like, you know, usually in manga there's what it seems like is gonna happen, and then, like, halfway through there's this giant plot twist and something else starts happening. Or, like, you know, the character achieves his goal, but then, like, that was just the very beginning. But this, it seems like, is literally just gonna be, like, pretty straightforward. I do like it, but I feel like it's a bit of wasted potential. And yeah, I have Inuyasha there because it's the first anime that I was into as, like, a kid. Like, I watched it when I was in, like, it must have been elementary school. It's about this girl who falls down this well that's on her parents' property, and it takes her back in time to, like, feudal Japan. And yeah, that's kind of all I remember, honestly. There's, like, this dog man, him. He's, like, half dog demon or something. And they do stuff. I think there's yokai too. But yeah, and then my last shelf, I have some kind of random manga there. And there's also the Avatar comics too. One of the ones I really like is that one there. Come on, focus. Yeah. It's like a horror one. It's pretty good. I think it's just that one volume too. So yeah, now I'm going to talk about my regular books. I'm not going to talk about these as much because I've already been yapping for a long time. But my shelves aren't really organized necessarily. Like this shelf right here, all the books like have to do with Japan or like Japanese authors, except for Pachinko, which is about, like, the characters are South Korean. Or I guess technically they're just Korean because it kind of takes place before and slightly during the time where Korea becomes split. It's pretty interesting, but I didn't finish it because it annoyed me that the one character is such a pussy. Like, the son or whatever, he's given, like, everything, and he's constantly whining about it because he doesn't like who it's coming from. I know, that's just my take. Like, I can understand the reasons he doesn't like it, but he just needs to learn how to not whine. I don't know. Yeah, I've got some like, leather-bound kind of books right there. The Divine Comedy and, Paradise Lost. I tried reading those, but it's pretty hard to read them. It's like reading Shakespeare, you know? Like, the language is just really hard to understand. Yeah, so this is my shelf. My bookshelf. I just got this shelf pretty recently. This corner shelf. Because as you can see, there's, like, this weird corner where, like, there's the window of my room. And so this section of wall, I used to have, like, a regular-sized bookshelf, just, like, a regular flat one, that extended more this way. And, that wall just kind of got, like, it didn't get used for anything. So I got this corner shelf, because I thought it would work nicely, and it does. I keep my motorcycle helmets on top of it, too. Yeah, I have this, which is pretty cool. It's the art from the Attack on Titan exhibit. That was in Seoul. I went there when I was in South Korea, so that's why I have it. This, rifle here isn't a real rifle. It's a 3D printed one, but I'm doing, like, a collage on it of panels from Golden Kamuy, because I thought it would be cool. I've always liked guns as interior decoration. But, I kinda hit a roadblock working on it because I have to find a way to glue the panels down to make them flat. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about this shelf. I don't know how good of a transition there was or wasn't between this part of the video and the last part, but this is the next night, I guess, and when I was making my video last night, I, like, kinda got tired, so I ended up not filming very much for this bookshelf, and I feel like that's kinda unfair, because maybe some people came to see this shelf tour, and not necessarily the other one, but stuck with it through the other one in the hopes of seeing this one, and then I only spent like 5 minutes talking about it, so yeah, so now I'm making the second version of this shelf tour. I'll talk about this one a little bit more though first. I have this book nook thingy that my boyfriend made me. He got it for me for Christmas last year. It's really pretty. It's got a lot of cool like details and stuff. So yeah, so this is my main bookshelf with my regular books on it. The annoying thing about this camera is that I have to stand like 5 feet away to fit this in the shot, so I can't like get up close and touch things or whatever and still show the full shelf. But anyway, so on top I have my 2 motorcycle helmets and my old yearbooks from middle school and high school. And yeah, this helmet, this yellow one, is the one that I wear currently. It's got a really pretty like tie pattern on it. I actually have a tattoo that's similar, and my boyfriend got me that for Christmas. And then that helmet was my first one. I actually like that one a little bit better because it just fits better. Like that one's a little tight, and that one fits pretty well. And that one's also like a modular one. It's like you can kind of see the front like opens up, so you can have your face visible while you're wearing it. Whereas this one, only the visor opens. And yeah, the reason I have these clear visors sitting here is because they both came with those helmets, but I traded them out for tinted ones. So I still have them, because really when you ride at night you can't see that well out of those. This bookshelf is organized sort of like by preference, I guess, with the top being like the highest preference, and then it's sort of descending from there. I mean, I like all the books that are on the bottom too, so like, it's not really like I don't like the books on the bottom or whatever. But yeah, I have the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, and the Dark Art Devices, I think, is the Lord of Shadows, Lady Midnight, and whatever, that one. I actually haven't really read the not the Dark Art Devices. I read 2 of the 3 of those ones. I haven't really read like this one and that one all that much. I read the first one and I liked it, and you know, I'll read the rest of them, but I guess I'm kind of taking a break. To be honest, I didn't finish the Dark Art Devices either, because like the political stuff that was going on in those was basically like a parallel of what's going on now, and like reality's bad enough, you know. I don't need like a second set of even worse reality. So that kind of put me off. I don't have anything against the author making a political statement, obviously, but like, if you already hate what's going on in the world currently, then reading a story where the same thing is going on, but like definitely way worse, isn't gonna help. And I have a bunch of little like decorations on my shelf as well. This is a candle that I got from the tattoo convention in my area, and this is like a Galileo thermometer. It says that it's 76 in here, and I really feel like it can't be that warm, but I guess it is. I have a blue jay feather as well. I actually found that in my front yard. And I have like that is a, what is that called? Ivory. Like a carved ivory little mini base thing. I don't support elephant hunting, but I got it from like an antique store. So I guess that makes it maybe not as bad. The reason I liked it is because my dad has a bunch of carved ivory stuff that I think he probably got from his parents or something. And you know, growing up I would always look at that and I always thought it was really cool. So of course, when I had the opportunity, I wanted to get one of my own. Yeah, it's on a little stand. And I have this, I'm not really sure what it is, some kind of oil lamp. But I got it because, well, my dad got it at a yard sale, and it reminded me of Supernatural. Like the things that the holy oil is in. So, yeah, I wanted it because of that, and my dad was like, sure, whatever, you can have it. Yeah, I have the little mini book stopper thing that I think I mentioned earlier that I got from South Korea. It works pretty well. The thing I like about this shelf is that it alternates between being open on the side and not open. So, you know, if I had any really cool, like, book stoppers or something, I could put them there. Not to say that those ones aren't cool, but yeah, I kind of like, I don't know if this is right or not, but I feel like the shelf has kind of like a mid-century vibe, which I definitely like. And yeah, so then the next shelf, I have, I guess they're all vampire books pretty much, yeah, except for The Shining. I have the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead, which I'm pretty sure Vampire Academy is the first, like, big girl book that I ever read, like the first chapter book, or well, the first novel, I guess, because I read some other chapter books when I was younger, but I guess you could call them novels too, but you know what I mean. Like, Vampire Academy is a young adult book, and these ones were, like, novels that were for kids. So, I ended up giving a finished version to my friend, and it has like the crossed out poetry that he does in the book, that Victor does. And I actually went through the entire book to find a passage that had that phrase in it, like in an organic way, and made that. I just thought it was cool. That version that I just showed isn't finished. I had like lamination paper that I was using to like laminate it together. Yeah. Oh yeah, I added the fire effect that was on it too. I used Top Procreate. I can't really draw, but I use it sometimes for like trying to edit designs for tattoos and stuff like that. But yeah, so the stuff that I have on this shelf is, I have this replica flintlock. This kind of reminds me of Apothecary Diaries, honestly, because it's like the fava that are in there, if you're caught up with the current season. This is hard to do with one hand. And trying to keep it in frame, too. That's probably going to be too loud, but yeah, so it goes like, I'll definitely have to edit that out. But yeah, this one has 3 barrels, and it rotates as well. But it's a replica, so it's not a functional gun, and it never was either. But it's very heavy. It probably weighs like 2 or 3 pounds. I just bought it because it was pretty, and because I like, I think I said so about this, but I always like the whole like guns as decor kind of thing. So, because they're pretty, like, maybe this one's not pretty that much because it's kind of plain, but that one's definitely pretty. And I have these little glass thingies. I got them as a kid from the garden center in my area. I had a bunch of them. I just thought they were cool. I have this stuff. This thing that says French writing on it. It's a knob from a pipe organ. There's this like abandoned place in my area. Like, I used to be into urban exploring, and I still am, but like I'm not into possibly getting arrested, so that kind of puts me off from going. Or, you know, I would want to go with friends, but then I would be making them be at risk of like getting a fine or getting arrested, and like that's not cool either. So I mean, I guess they would go at their own risk, but I would still feel bad. But yeah, this is from, there was a church on the property, and the church had a pipe organ, like a real pipe organ. And so this was one of the like stops that they pull out to like change how it sounds. I know you might be thinking like, why did I destroy the pipe organ? Well, the reason is because it was like 90% destroyed already. Like, out of the entire board, if there were like 30 knobs on the board, there were probably only like 5 left over. Someone else had already destroyed it most of the way, or, you know, a bunch of other people. So what's taking 2 more knobs, right? Like, me and my friend both took one. I feel bad for that pipe organ, but that complex, I think, has been abandoned for like 20 years. So I think it was abandoned in like 2008 or 2007 or something, so almost 20 years. So it's not as if like, oh, with a little bit of refurbishment, that pipe organ could have been operational again. I'm sure it was probably ruined, like rotted from the inside out. So I don't know. I also have this like Native American designed horse thingy. I have a lot of horse themed stuff. I like horses. I got that in New Mexico. And I have this little dolphin plushie as well. That is from my middle school that I went to. I like that school the best out of all the ones that I've been to, probably. Like, just my time there, 4th through 6th grade, was probably the best couple years of school, I would say. But yeah, the building was also really cool. I'm not gonna say what school it was, obviously, but the building was like this really ritzy-looking, old-fashioned building, but it was just a public school. So yeah, I also have these paper cranes. One of them my cousin folded for me, and then this one, it came with an order. I think I ordered like a Gojo poster or something from a newspaper from Japan, and that was included with the order from the seller. So also I have this barnacles and this coral. The coral I actually found on the beach myself. The barnacles I bought. I really like coral. Oop, I just bumped into my lamp. Yeah, and then I have Twilight here, of course, and The Shining. I guess The Shining kind of goes along with vampires, I don't really know. Yeah, so then this shelf, I have, this one's not really finished because this isn't full of books, but I have the Ugly series, which I really like. I'm a couple books short none of that in yen anyway. So I had to buy another thing to be able to use my card, which I did. But yeah, and there's some more coral-y things. Yeah, I got this when I was in South Korea. It's like a magnet with all the, what does it say? 10 symbols of longevity. It was really pretty. Yeah, I have this Indiana Jones book. I think I talked about that in the other set of the video, but I just got it because I liked how it looked. I also bought this series because I like how it looked. I mean, the plot sounds interesting too, obviously, but I bought all the books because I liked how they looked. And yeah. So then I have this shelf. I have, Akatar, and not Akatar. Does this one have an abbreviation? I don't really know. But I've read all of these except for the last one, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, but I feel like sometimes you lose momentum on a book series and then you never really get it back. I'll probably read it eventually, but at this point I'd have to reread the whole series. I have this jewelry box. I have all my nose rings in there. And I have this car. It's like a 1930s Mercedes. I really like the look of like those like vintage cars. So I got like a model one. And then I have this in the middle is my non-fiction / biography section. I also had Brain on Fire, if you've ever heard of that one. I lent it out to someone and they haven't given it back though. But yeah, some of them are like medical themed, like the Radium Girls is. Some of them are about killers, like Mindhunter. 2 of them are about Duran Duran. So yeah. I have another horse. This one was given to me by my grandmother for Christmas. And it's kind of funny, I named it Tsunami because I got that the Christmas right after the Indonesian tsunami. I don't remember when that was, like 2003, 2004 or something like that. And that was the first time I ever heard of a tsunami. I learned a new word. And even though it was like a tragedy that allowed me to learn that word, I was like, that would make a good name for a horse. I was probably only in like 3rd or 2nd grade at the time, so can't really blame me. I actually have a book about that, The Killing Sea right there. That's like a fictionalized story about the Indonesian tsunami. And then down here I have those 3, or I guess 4, like Evernight, Stargazer, Hourglass, and whatever that other one says. That's about vampires and like wraiths, like ghosts. I've read that series, some of it, and I liked it a lot, but it scared me. Stuff that has to do with ghosts always scared me, like as a kid. And then I have the Blue Bloods books right there. I always thought that series was really interesting. I've been trying to reread it recently, but I feel like the pacing is a little odd. And I have the Hunger Games books, and then I have these ones. I wonder if you can hear that weird noise outside. I think someone's doing like fireworks in the street or something. Yeah, I have this Starbucks cup that I got from like Chinese Starbucks. It's got like a mushroom with double horns on it. And I have this Mustang Boss 429 model. Yeah. And then finally on the last shelf, I have the House of Night books. I started reading those in like 5th grade. And then I have these ones, which I think is the first like high fantasy series I ever read. I didn't finish it though. I'd like to reread it eventually. And of course I have the Maximum Ride books, classic. And then I have these ones. These are some more books I read as a kid. Like the Found Scent Sabotage, I read those as a kid. And then of course I have Rainbow Fish too. Wait, I guess it's not Rainbow Fish. Well, it's a similar vibe to Rainbow Fish, I guess. I swear I thought that was Rainbow Fish. But yeah, I got that one when I was in like pre-K. Like I think the Scholastic Fair came to pre-K, and I bought that, so even if it's not Rainbow Fish, it still has a special place in my heart. Yeah, I have these Starbucks cups as well. I don't really use them though. You know, like when a lot of other people are into something and you kind of get into it too, just because it's there. That's pretty much why I have them. these ones are too big. Like, I would never drink that much liquid at one time. I'm not knocking anyone who would, but like, I have stomach problems. Like, this one is more reasonable of a size. I think I would even have trouble drinking that though. It would take me a couple hours. But yeah, I just don't really like cups like that because I'm like really paranoid about washing them. Especially like the straws. Like, I need it to definitely be fully clean, but you can't really scrub the inside of a straw. Like, I know they make straw scrubbers, and I have one, but yeah, I don't know. Sorry if I sound out of breath, it's just from squatting down and standing back up over and over again, which sounds kind of pathetic. I also wanted to show this lamp that I have. I had to assemble that myself. All the flowers. Every single petal and every single flower I assembled that myself. But yeah, it was worth the effort, I'd say. And yeah, so that's my bookshelves. I hope you like this video, and like I said, leave me a like and a comment, subscribe to my channel. Yeah, and I'll probably go back to making true crime videos soon. I said this in the other version of this video that I made, and I didn't know if I was going to say it again this time, but I am pretty sure that I'm going to stop making YouTube videos. I'll probably make another handful of videos, and then, you know, call it quits, because my channel isn't really growing at all. And every single time I make a video, like, you know, I upload it, and I'm just like, I wonder how badly it's going to do this time. Like, I wonder how much the algorithm is going to fuck me over this time. And like, it sucks because I really like all of you guys, my viewers and stuff, especially anyone who watches to the end. But like, I don't know what to do to make YouTube decide to show people my videos. Like, it just feels impossible. So, and like, I don't think it's my content, because other people make these types of videos and get tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views, so they're just luckier, I guess. And I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be all about the numbers and stuff, but it's kind of hard not to focus on that. So yeah, sorry to get depressing at the end here, but yeah, see you in my next video, bye.